is up, guys? DT Ninja here to give you guys my RuroKen Hokkaido Arc Chapter 30 discussion. Okay, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed that special intro. The color skins were done by Chris JP20. Really awesome guy. He does some awesome work. That was basically the culmination of the entire fight. A quick review of the fight. But yeah, really good stuff. Now, before I even start the discussion, Chapter 31 is actually out in Japan. So I'm currently working on it. So like a previous discussion, I'm going to give you some spoilers. So when that happens, I will tell you spoiler alert. So if you guys want to know, I will let you know. If you don't, you can stop the video. So, all right. Like I said, that is out. Also, the new live action films have released a new teaser trailer, and I've posted that on my website, on my page for Facebook, and it's also on YouTube as well. So definitely check that out. Golden Week next year, the new Kenshin, the beginning. It looks awesome. Really good stuff. There's also some news for the Hokkaido arc. There will be a Jump Festa this year, and Kenshin is in the lineup. So hopefully we get some good information for Kenshin. I don't know if it's an announcement, but at least they're part of the event. So that's great. Okay. This chapter for Kenshin was awesome. This was great development for Sanosuke because for the longest time, Sanosuke had been fighting angry, until he met Kenshin. But even after that, he left for home, and then he got in trouble, and that's why he had to leave the country to travel the world. So in this chapter, we really get that development. We really get that, sense of who Sanosuke really is, and get, that growth of his character, which was really awesome. And seeing the scene at the beginning with, Captain Sagara, and how he shaped his, his childhood, and, just how devastated he was, and what actually caused, him to carry that symbol on his back, and how his hatred for the Meiji government. I like how he kind of used that as a way of telling Ono, there's no way in hell I am going to join your Kinkaku Heki. I like that. I really like that. But yeah, I liked his whole thing at the end where he mentioned that, fighting is only fun when, the world is at peace. So I really like how he's changed, and just, he's become very worldly. Really good stuff. Okay, so the discussion. Well, first things first. What is the real reason Ono wanted Sano to join the Kinkaku Heki? Now, the Kinkaku Heki is the organization, the group that has been building and, advancing in technology. They've been building an army for years and years underground. What is the real reason Ono wanted Sano to join? Because originally, in the previous chapters, I thought maybe it was kind of a tactic to try to get out of fighting, but it really didn't seem that way, because Sano proved that he's actually stronger than Ono. And yeah, I just have a feeling there might be a hidden meaning there. What do you guys think? Is it possible that he wasn't born into the clan like Ono himself? He stated there are 3 members of Kinkaku Heki that weren't born into the clan that became part of Kinkaku Heki. But he knows Sekiriki, which is the brilliance, and only the clan, the people who were born into the clan, have this ability and learned, to control it from an early age. So I have a feeling that maybe he is from the clan, but also I do feel there is a hidden meaning behind it, why he wanted him to join. Maybe he reminds him of someone that he looked up to. So Ono in the flashback when Sano grabs his head, so he basically knocks him out. He gives him the headbutt, the trademark headbutt, and he knocks him out. And Ono kind of has this, he's just kind of just flashing back. His life is flashing before his eyes, and you see this flashback in the Boshin War, and you see him with Hago, the crazy eyebrows. I mean, I call them crazy brows because, I mean, literally, you could grab his eyebrows and throw him. I mean, that just seems like a handicap for one of the stronger members of Kinkaku Heki. But anyways, the way that he spoke to him, he's like, Fugo, remember this well, and he's like, if we don't do something to advance Japan, we're going to be eaten alive by the rest of the world. And then he says the world is a cruel and, merciless place. And so it's interesting because Sanosuke also says these words after learning about how the Meiji government pretty much made Captain Sagara a scapegoat and used that as justification. So it's very interesting how the two characters kind of connect to each other. And I noticed that. So I was wondering, is the reason that he asked him to join because he reminds him of that person? Like maybe they had a similar situation. That's very interesting. So I was kind of curious about that. Maybe there's a hidden meaning behind, the reason why he wanted him to join. Not just that he's a strong fighter, but maybe he reminds him of that person that he looks up to. Because it seems like Ono really looks up to that head commander. And I don't know, but it kind of made it look like he's actually, closer to him. So that's just my feeling. But what do you guys think? So this kind of ties into the next question a little bit. Number 2, is Shimonji really Ono's true commander? Now, like I said, Ono looks up to Hago, the crazy eyebrows, and this was in the past. This was like in, before, it was kind of before the Meiji era, but a little bit past it. But, this is kind of the Boshin War, kind of in the revolution, and Hokkaido so is a republic era. So like, is Shimonji that guy who covers himself in a mask, and we see him using like the wires connected all the way to the house of Gato. And also, he kind of tells everyone, Honda what to do. He's kind of their commander. Is he Ono's true commander? Because when we saw him in the flashback, we did see the Boshin War a little bit. They're kind of watching it, from afar with the telescope. But we see that this character, Hago, is more important to Ono because he kind of lives by these words that he tells him, and he takes those words to heart, and he remembers them. He remembers them because he's having a flashback of him. So I was kind of thinking, how Sano and Hago relate to each other a little bit, or at least in Ono's eyes they do. But does that mean Hago was originally Ono's commander, like his actual subordinate? Was he a subordinate of Hago instead of Shimonji? Now, I mention this because in this latest chapter that I'm reading right now that came out yesterday, there is something that happens that causes this to question it. And I'm going to give you a little hint. So this is something in a previous chapter, chapter 27, if you want to read it, when Ono knocks down Sanosuke. So basically, Sanosuke is punching him, like mad, and he's got his hand out blocking him. He's got his weapon out, and he slashes him with the weapon, and Sano goes flying back. Ono states this. He says, "For the Kinkaku Heki, it's kill or be killed." So that's kind of a hint what happens in this chapter, because in this previous chapter, he's defeated by Sanosuke. So what are the consequences to that? And we're going to get to that in the spoilers in a little bit. But yeah, something happens to Ono in this chapter. Okay, number three. Why did the Kinkaku Heki wait all this time to start a war or revolution in their eyes? Basically, the real life combat experiments where they're forcing people to fight like a battle. They're basically creating a battlefield in all these different places to, kind of train people to be like warriors, like they were in the revolution. So why did they wait all this time? What is the point of waiting it all out? And why didn't they fight alongside the Ezo Republic in the Boshin War? Because we see it in the flashback, Hago, Fugo, or Ono, they're both looking on at, Goryokaku, and they're seeing all these cannons being fired, and they're basically saying how Japan is not advancing as much as the other countries. And what's interesting about this is that they seem to be contradictory. So he says that, I asked Hijikata, Toshizo to join the Kinkaku Heki, but, he's not the one to, join us when he's fighting a losing battle. And it just doesn't seem like they really wanted to participate. So why do they want others? Why do they think that others will participate in their kind of war revolution when they sat back and they're kind of, it seems like they're kind of hypocritical. And maybe that their whole goal isn't just to protect Japan, but just to make them, kind of make their Japan. That's what their Japan, they have an envision of Japan. Kind of similar to how Shishio had, he wanted a Japan that's stronger, but the government is too weak. That's how they feel. They just feel that the Japan's going to be eaten alive, so they have all these real life combats. But I was kind of wondering that, like, because the master or head of Kinkaku Heki, she acts like a shogun, right? So that would be towards, against the Meiji government, and also, that would be more for the Ezo Republic. So why didn't they help them in the war? It's kind of, they just sat back and watched it. But they've been training all this time, so it's interesting. So it makes you wonder why they just sat back and they didn't participate, but now they want others to participate. It just seems contradictory, like I said. They're cowardly as well, kind of cowardly as well, because they're just sitting back and watching it all happen. If they were really truly feeling that Japan is weak, why didn't they join and make kind of the argument that we could be stronger if we were in that battle? So that's just my opinion on it. Maybe, the head commander, the head master, shokun, maybe that she has a different agenda than what we've heard. So that's my feeling. Okay, next one. Sano's development is multi-layered. There's so many things that happen in this chapter that go from his childhood and to the Sekihotai, and also kind of his views of the world and what he experiences, the hardships and all of the people suffering, the discrimination, all these different things culminate in this chapter, and he finally gets a different perspective of the world. So I really like that. But I want to know, who taught him the Senken? This is a defensive martial art that comes from Senkendo, which is Japanese, by the way. But who taught it to him? Do you think that this is kind of a reflection of Sano's character and his progression as a whole? So, like, before, he would all be about offense, just fighting. That's his style. He even mentioned it in the Kyoto arc. He learned the Futai no Kiwami, and he kind of talked to Saito. He's like, I don't need defense. This is not my style. And, we have that moment where he's like, what have you done to improve your defense? And he's like, it's not my style, right? But here, he shows that not only did he learn defense, he learned strategy. He learned a lot of different things, a new perspective. So who taught him this technique? I would really like to know. And like I said, maybe the Senkin is also a reflection of his character progression. So like, because the Futai no Kiwami literally is destruction, you know? And remember, Anji created this kind of like to save the world. And it's kind of like, you know, the Futai no Kiwami is to save the world, even though it's a destructive technique, but he learned, you know, defense, kind of like he sees things in a new light. You know, he wants to have a world of peace. And he mentions this. He says, fighting is only fun when the world is at peace. And I found this very interesting. But maybe the actual Senkin itself, the actual technique, rotating fist, where he actually blocks the techniques, is actually a reflection of his character. But I would like to know who taught him that. That was very interesting. Or did he just learn it on his own? But yeah, it really helps in his arsenal. I think it makes him a lot stronger that he knows defense now. Yeah. Okay, the next thing. Would you like to see a side story of Sanosuke's travels around the world? Oh, hell yeah. I would love to see this. Like a side story completely about Sanosuke. That would be really neat. That would be really neat. They could even tie it into the Hokkaido arc even. Because think about it. If he did go to the other countries, which we know he did, but we see it, and he meets other characters, who would you like to see him meet? Like, for example, he went to the American frontier, the Western world. We could see him meet Gunblaze West characters. I mean, like a crossover. This would be a perfect chance for a crossover of Sanosuke meeting those characters. Colleen, View, Will. These are cowboys and the acrobatic girl. Now, all three of those characters are reflections, and they were inspired. Those three characters had inspiration for new characters in the Hokkaido arc, and that's the three idiots. Ashitaro, Aran, and Asahi. All three of those characters, I could see him meeting those characters. That would be really interesting, especially because, you know, he has kind of like a nickname for them. So that's really cool. I would really like to see that. Just go to different countries, see him like Mongolia. We saw him riding a horse, so I would like to see, you know, maybe not a whole side story, but maybe a couple chapters, just basically explaining what he did and how he did it. And just see the struggles, you know, see what struggles he actually came upon as well. Because we know that he probably had discrimination against himself. I mean, he's an Asian in America. So one of my friends, Francisco, he mentioned that maybe that he possibly could see other groups like African Americans, you know, kind of being mistreated. And he would be kind of, you know, sympathetic towards them because, you know, in his eyes, you know, he's also being discriminated against probably. That's just my feeling. But maybe those groups could also be, and I think he mentioned the mistreatment of Jews as well. So those two groups could also be something that they could touch on. But yeah, that's very interesting to think about a side story of Sanosuke. I don't know if it'd be like a complete side story, but maybe just, you know, a couple chapters showing us what he did on his travels, what he learned, because he really did learn a lot. It seems like he developed very well, and a really great growth for Sanosuke. So that's pretty much the end of the discussion. Now on to the spoilers. Okay, this is for chapter 31, the recent chapter that just came out yesterday in Japan. I have read and I've translated some of it, so I want to share, you know, what I've read and my interpretation of it. So, before we even get to that, though, there is a new volume, Volume 5, which I have pre-ordered already. This is Volume 4, but Volume 5 is now out in Japan as well. It has a Ron on the cover. I'm going to share it here in a moment. But yeah, look forward to that in my next video because I will be able to use it to share with you guys as well. And I also mentioned the the Jump Festa as well as the live action film. So a lot of info on Kenshin recently. Okay, to the spoilers. Chapter 31. Okay, number 1, kill or be killed. In the discussion, I mentioned a quote from Ono in chapter 27. For the Kinkaku Heki, it's kill or be killed. In this chapter, we see Sanosuke and Ono kind of having a face-off, but instead of fighting, they're kind of resolving their issues. Now, Ono is kind of hesitant, to accept the hand of Sanosuke. He has his hand out to shake his hand for having a good fight. Ono's kind of confused. He really doesn't know what's going on. He's not, he doesn't understand what a handshake means. So basically in this chapter, we see him holding his hand like this, which doesn't look like a handshake at all. Sano kind of makes fun of him a little bit. They have a laugh. And right before they're about to, have a handshake, shake each other's hands, literally his hand is ripped off from his body. Literally, you see like this scene where his face just turns to fear and you see like blood coming. And then like from the back where his arm is literally torn off from his body. Literally it shows a spear-like weapon going through his arm and it's torn off completely. And you see like this thread or wire, this sharp wire, and it comes all the way to the end of the room where it shows Shimonji. Shimonji is supposedly his commander. Now this goes back to the discussion question on whether or not he's his real commander or not. But yeah, so it's almost like those words came true. It's kill or be killed. He literally ripped his arm off. So that was pretty vicious and crazy. And no mercy. Like, he just showed no mercy towards him at all. So that was crazy. And then you get to see the crazy face of Shimonji. I mean, his tongue sticking out. And Ono kind of fights him, trying to, but it is no use, I mean, he's pretty much beaten already from Sanosuke's fight. But he tries to defend himself. He gets badly injured. I mean, it's a fatal blow. It's pretty much a fatal blow. His arm is torn off. And then in the next scene, Sanosuke is running because, the enemy's running away. He's running towards, I'm guessing he's trying to go towards Kenshin or go after the enemy. But Ono's like, wait. I don't want to die in vain. I don't have much longer. So if you have any questions, you can ask anything you wish to know. Now, this is huge because, imagine if Ono has information on the main... Obviously, he knows where the main base is. That's a huge thing Sanosuke could ask. I mean, he could ask him specifically about Ono. Like, what is it that made him want to, follow the Kinkaku Heki? Obviously, he was probably born into the clan, but what is it? Is it the member Hago, his words? So it's very interesting. We might get a backstory next week. Not next week, next month, chapter 32. But yeah, that's my feeling on that. But yeah, I found that interesting. It's almost like redemption for that character. He wants to help Sano out before he goes off and, fights again. Really good stuff. Okay, the third thing. The second front at the Kinkaku Heki's Otaru base, where Honda is fighting Aran and Kanryu. So Kanryu is has the rifle and he's shooting at Honda, and Honda has these papers flying around, and how can paper be that strong, right? It's not paper. It's not paper. So we learn in this chapter that those things that are flying around are actually made of aluminum. They're actually aluminum. And not only that, the Kinkaku Heki have created these weapons from aluminum. So many of the members that are using their weapons are created from this strong aluminum. Now, it says that it's aluminum 43 times stronger than iron. So that's interesting. So maybe Shimonji's thread or wire is actually the same thing, and that's why it's so strong. But yeah, we find out that. So we learn a little bit more about RuroKen, his special technique. It also shows a picture of a spider from South America. So I'm guessing that has something to do with where the actual materials come from. So that's also interesting. And then the very end, we see Kenshin arrive Riverside near Kenkaku Heki's Otaro base. So I'm guessing he's looking for the others. But yeah, that's where it wraps up. That's pretty much the spoilers for the chapter, but wow, this chapter is full of info, it's full of action, suspense, surprise. I mean, it was pretty crazy when I saw Ono's arm being torn off. I didn't expect that, and so soon. But then you feel kind of bad for him. It's almost like you want redemption for him, so we might get a backstory in the next chapter. That's my feeling. And we're going to get to see Aran in action as well, because he's holding like this huge barrel and it has like dynamite in it. So he's using his brain, his strategy to fight this Kenkaku Eki member Honda. But yeah, that's pretty much it for, the spoilers, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed. Look forward to more info on Kenshin and the latest chapter on my website or my page for DT Ninja 831 on Facebook. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed. Leave your comments below what you guys think about this chapter. And yeah, that's pretty much it. And yeah, I will see you guys in the next one.